Welcome back to the Grand Solar Minimum channel. Today is Tuesday, May 8th, 2018. Let's take a look at our solar wind speeds over here at SPACEWEATHERlive.com. And today we checked in at about 667 kilometers per second with a top speed of about 727 kilometers per second today. Now that's nearly 1.5 million miles per hour, with our density sitting at 2.9 currently. Looking at our KP indices, I was just reviewing these before the show. We were sitting at a 4 and they dropped to a 2 just now as I refreshed the page. So I don't know why I did that, but there we go. And taking a look at our sunspot, AR2708, it is still active, but it is decaying and it poses no threats to any kind of solar flares right now. Let's go ahead and take a look at the SDO in motion. First, I want you guys to check out this active region here in the eastern limb of the sun. As you see, there's a lot of action going on here, little plasma loop, and just a very active region that we're just going to keep our eyes on, but it was brought to my attention this evening, and I thought I'd bring it to yours. Taking a look at the TSI readings for today, for April 30th, 2018, our values were sitting at 1360.735, so it did fall from a little bit. It was 0.78 just the other day. We are seeing it decline just ever so steadily. Take a look at some headlines for today. Montana expands evacuation warnings as snowmelt flooding worsens. As many as 1,300 homes were put on notice for possible evacuations in Missoula. Hundreds of residents were told to prepare for evacuations as floodwaters caused by snowmelt in higher elevations continue to rise in parts of western Montana. Some of the worst impacts from the flooding occurred in Missoula along the Clark Fork River, which runs to the center of town more of 70,000 people. Along the waterway, as many as 1,300 homes were notified to prepare for possible evacuations, and those who could leave Monday were being urged to evacuate. Missoula County Sheriff's Office spokeswoman Brenda Bassett told the Associated Press. By Monday, about 40 houses in Orchard Homes neighborhood had already experienced some flooding in Missoula County Disaster and Emergency Services. Deputy Coordinator Ken Parks told the AP, "I'm scared to death I'm going to lose our home and all of our memories," Mary Sackett, 61, told the officials Monday night, gathering residents and city leaders, telling them what's going on. What happens if all of a sudden the dike breaks in the middle of the night and I wake up to 5 feet of water in my house? I'm not going to be able to get out myself or get myself out. To the east, at least one school was closed indefinitely in Helena as floodwaters surrounded elementary school, the Independent Record reported. No injuries have been reported from the flooding so far. Worst of all, the snowmelt is just beginning at 5,000 feet and above. National Weather Service meteorologist Leanne Algareto told the Missoulian, "For this reason, the Clark Fork River is expected to continue its rise approach levels not seen since at least 1981. And the link will be in the description for this, but this is the first story I've seen so far here in the U.S. where we're talking about snowmelt and the flooding that it's bringing. I'm surprised we haven't heard nothing yet in California from the Sierra Nevadas. I'm sure that will happen eventually. Coldest day for May in Melbourne since 1978, so that's a 40-year-old record there. Melbourne is bracing for its coldest pair of May days in 40 years as a blast of Antarctic air sweeps across the country, much of the country's southeast. The Bureau of Meteorology say a stray low-pressure system moving from north the Southern Ocean could hit between 8 p.m. and 10 p.m. tonight as a pool of cold air forms, bringing rain, thunderstorms, small hail, and possible snow across the Alps in the coming days. Winter is just around the corner, so this is not too unusual, but still, it's been a while since it's been this cold in May. There's one more mild day to get through, but we'll see a strong low-pressure system later in the week, and that will deliver the well below average temperatures. Wintry maximums between 2 and 6 degrees below average for May are forecast across the southeast South Australia, Victoria, and southern New South Wales. And it goes on to give more stats throughout the region, with tops high temperatures of 19 degrees and maximum temperatures in the state's capital are set to drop to 13 degrees tomorrow and on Friday. This would be the city's coldest pair of May days. Yes, we just said that. They like to repeat themselves, apparently. So here we are, shorts one day, and in the next we're going to see cold weather, temperatures, and snow. Sydney also is going to be feeling the winter chill. They're going to go from 24 degrees to 17 degrees from Thursday to Friday. It's likely to feel colder than that, too. The wind chill factor, the forecast to be at least 1 or 2 degrees across the city. This is Celsius now. Showers expected to hit on Saturday afternoon as a minimum temperature hover around 12 to 14 degrees over the weekend. So winter might be showing up just a little bit early, and that's not the first time we've reported that here in the Grand Solar Minimum, as we last year and the year before also as well. Deadly floods and landslides hit Haiti, Dominican Republic, and Jamaica. Heavy rainfall affected Dominican Republic, Haiti, and Jamaica between May 2nd and 7th, 2018, causing floods and landslides, leaving at least 4 people dead. Now it says here the level in San Cristobal Province, the Dominican Republic, due to possible urban and rural floods and landslides. There is 1 death registered in San Cristobal, 773 houses affected, 3,865 people are displaced, 40 people in a shelter, and 16 uncommunicated communities, and 2 bridges have been affected. That's a very thorough list of facts there. Once again, great reporting by the watchers. Heavy rain hit Haiti on May 2nd and the 6th, with the worst affected districts: Artibonite, Grand Ars, Neps, North and Northeast, South and Southeast. 3 people died, including a young girl. 1 person was injured, and 1 person is still missing, mostly due to the rapid increase of the water levels in the streams. The death toll may increase in the coming days as assessments continue to be collected and consolidated. Again, the link will be in the description here. At least 15 houses were destroyed and significantly damaged by rains and landslides in the south, southeast, and west departments. Now, they say the worst of the rains came down on Jamaica between May 5th and May 7th. At least 7 people have been displaced and are currently accommodated in shelters, so not as big as a deal as it was in the Dominican Republic. And we go over to Rwanda once again. At least 18 killed as floods and landslides hit Rwanda. A spokesperson for the Ministry of Disaster Management and Refugees said that 15 people were killed in a landslide that hit the sector of the Karongi district on late Sunday, May 6th. 2 drowned in flood waters, while 1 was struck by lightning. Several landslides have hit the region in nearby Rubavi, washing away homes and destroying farmland. That is a common headline: floodlands or farmlands being destroyed by floods and mudslides and hailstorms. Just looking at the pictures here, what a mess to clean up. Beautiful part of the world, however, not very fortunate here. Is unfortunately some pictures of them laying the dead to rest. Again, the link will be in the description. And as if we don't have enough earthquakes going on around the world, a 4.5 was felt in Southern California near the town of Cabazon. Now, you're from California. Did I pronounce that right? Cabazon?
I have no
Cabazon?
idea. I don't know exactly. Where is that in SoCal? Oh, that's more inland?
Yeah.
Have no clue. Is Cabazon.
Cabazon. The U.S. Geological Services reported that 2 earthquakes struck within minutes of each other at 6.8 miles in North Cabazon, California, on Tuesday morning. A 4.5 magnitude earthquake hit the area of a depth of 5 miles shortly before 5 a.m. According to the USGS, the quake was initially measured at a 4.6, but later was taken down to a 5.3 or 4.5. I'm sorry. 2 minutes later, they had a 3.2 magnitude earthquake about 7 miles in the same area. Many people reported saying that they woke up to this sudden jolt. Many people could feel it across the region. Again, link will be in the description. You have to wonder, too, with everything that's going on right now in Hawaii, with the earthquakes and the volcanoes going off, you have to wonder a little bit about... I was in a chat the other day, pardon me, and it was a volcano chat, and someone had said that no climate talk, this is a volcanoes and earthquakes channel, and I get that, you know, because it can get pretty nasty when you're debating climate talk. But when it comes to minimums and stuff like that, and I was told that someone was told to be quiet about this in one of the chats, but I think it's relevant, the topic of a solar minimum and volcanoisms and earthquakes should be a topic that could be discussed, because there's too much research out there that tells us that these things go hand in hand. And, you know, just looking at this image right here and some of the other things that I've had the pleasure to look at today, or maybe not the pleasure, but we could be seeing some serious solar activity in the coming days. Solar wind speeds could be elevated once again somewhere in the 700 to 800 kilometers per second, believe it or not. And you got to wonder what that's going to do to earthquakes and volcano eruptions. Will that spark more? Someone even suggested possibly EV5, possibly. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see, as we've read so much research that does correlate the solar minimum, solar activity, to volcano eruptions and earthquakes, and yet we are seeing some pretty active regions here on the far eastern limb of our sun. So I just kind of, you know, that made me think a little bit with seeing that 4.5 in California. I'm sure it's making some people uneasy in certain areas every time now we have a new alert on an earthquake or possibly even a volcano.
Did you mention the earthquakes swarm Clear Lake?
You know what? I don't know why that didn't pop in my links, but I had also in the description for this show tonight, we had a, and forgive me for not having the link, it is in the description. It was in the Canary Islands. They're concerned about earthquakes that had happened out there. 270 of them swarmed underneath a volcano, and I believe it was the Tide volcano, Teide, and it hasn't erupted in quite some time, but there are concerns. Do you have that up by chance? Or
well, the one swarm I was talking about was near Kilauea. I can't talk today. What's new? Clear Lake, California has an earthquake swarm I saw on Volcano Discovery. I just thought that was interesting. There is a swarm under that volcano, and it's been dormant, and the cycle of that volcano, I believe, is 10,000 years, and the last time it went off was, I believe, 11 to 12 Holocene.
Well,
beginning.
That's and I was talking about another one too, and let me see if I can pull it up on this one.
You'd probably be better off pulling it up on the computer.
Just looking for the link, but I didn't want to go off of this. So anyway, sorry about that, folks. I did have something that I wanted to show everybody, and just give me a minute here and I'll pull it up. But go ahead if you want to talk about the Clearwater one again.
Well, maybe we could cover it tomorrow, because I don't have the links up right now. I'm on one computer and you're on another one, so.
Alright, bear with me, folks. Because I did want to talk about, there was a link here, and then I don't know why.
Put it on logo and we can pull it up.
Yeah, I thought I did.
Oh, I guess we're missing the logo.
Here we go. How about the opener? No, just kidding.
It has sound, so
we won't do that.
And it'll sound like crap.
Well, it's going to be a black screen. The darkness. Look into the darkness. Listen to my voice.
I'll entertain people in the chat, Jake.
Here, I found it. Thankfully. Sorry about this, guys. This is mainly my fault here. I thought I had this one up. Here we go. So, Brett Holiday spots of the Tenerife and the Gran Canaria could be ravaged by volcano eruptions after science detected what could be warning signals. Now, they believe that the huge amount of seismic activity they've had in the past 10 days could be a sign that the volcanoes are about to blow their tops. In this short time, it's estimated that there's been 270 earthquakes in Canary Islands. New research has concluded that the quakes are likely to be caused by underwater fault lines between the islands. The worst case scenario would be if there was a volcano eruption nearby the Mount Tide, which is on the Tenerife. It last erupted in 1909. So you know, you're talking about a volcano that's been dormant for a while, and here is another one mentioned as well in
Can I
the.
pull up a link, Starman?
Sure.
Dead here for fun.
Uh-oh.
Let's go to this one, and I'll move this out of the way. There you go. Oh, here. Sorry. There you go.
Wow. So this is the one I think, yeah, this is the one I was actually going over. This is a different version of it, which this is more looking at this ash cloud. Now I see why they're the fears are now for this volcano to go off. Says here almost 300 earthquakes. So this is some updated information here. 300 earthquakes have shaken the territory, the biggest islands of the Canary, the Tenerife and the Gran Canaria over the last 10 days, according to the Spanish National Geographic Institute. The biggest one, with a 3.2 magnitude on the Richter scale, happened 35 kilometers away from the port of La Palmas and Gran Canaria. The area is home to the world's third tallest volcano, Mount Tide, in the national park of the same name, which is incidentally one of the most visited tourist destinations, some 3 million a day, I read on the other article. This one here, they're talking about fears of the Canary Tide volcano may be reactivated, and fears of a mega eruption forced the government to appoint an urgent meeting. However, the director of the National Seismic Network from Spain's National Geographic Institute suggested these minor quakes were tectonic origin and not usually associated with volcanology. And it's quoted saying, "It's not unusual right now in the peninsula. There are quite a few places which these series are being observed. It is common during any single month to register between 100 and 600 quakes in the area, like in the Yoder area and the Yon, which can experience between 400 and 500 at the same time," he told the media. So this particular article here raises the alarm, but it does not reek of the possible fear. This article, I believe they said that a little bit more doomy here at the end, according to the Daily Star, which is that's the first problem. But they were saying, and what if reactivating the Tide volcano, that would be cataclysm. Similar eruption fears around the Cumbre Vieja. I really need to take a geography class and start learning how to pronounce some of these crazy pronunciations. I said Veja. I said Veji.
That could turn into so many other things, Dave. You just stick with Veja.
That's Veja. Now I feel special. So with all this volcano talk, I wanted to show everybody some images. Look back at Kilauea, spectacular 69 to 74 Manu Ala'u eruption. The volcanic activity in Hawaii today is part of the ongoing Pu'u'a'o eruption, of the longest duration eruption ever recorded on Kilauea. And they're talking about that this eruption here added 230 acres of new land to Hawaii's Big Island. And again, these were 40 years ago once again, but look at this. Marvelous fountains, 1,000-foot lava fountain. Now, I also read in here at some point that there was falls that were as big as Niagara Falls of lava. So this is not unusual. In fact, this looks insane compared to what we've seen so far right now. But these pictures, I've actually seen some of these pictures surfacing up in Google search results. But just some, just to put a little perspective, that this isn't the first time they've seen this kind of activity out here, and the devastation is just as bad as it could be. And there's a lot of people talking right now that we could be seeing these eruptions. I heard weeks at first, but now they're talking months. Some people are talking months. So just be interesting to see, will this eruption give off the same amount of acreage that that 69 to 74 eruption gave, as far as 230 acres that was added to the land of the Big Island. Right now, I've seen that it's covered almost over 130 acres of land right now as we speak. And of course, with the updates now, before we went live, Mari also told me that you said 12 and 13 Fisher has now opened up as well.
Janine Krippner on Twitter, my volcanologist that I follow religiously on Twitter, she just tweeted out minutes before we went live that fissures 13 and 14 have opened up in the Lani, shown on the Civil Defense map that hawaiicounty.gov has posted.
And I know we were talking in the GSM chat on Discord about the cauldron being empty right now, and what that means. We could be possibly looking at an earthquake situation. Same thing happened to Japan back in 11, and they had a bad earthquake 4 days later. So we are definitely going to be keeping an eye on this situation. But this article covers the human side of everything right now. Residents voice frustration and anxiety after being forced to evacuate from their homes as lava and hazardous fumes spewed on Hawaii's Big Island. Many of them grapple with the uncertainty, not knowing whether their homes are intact or have been engulfed by lava flows. By Tuesday, covered at least 104 acres. So I was off by 26. Residents on Monday night crammed into a community meeting seeking answers. Is this situation going to go on for months? Can I go into a house and retrieve my pet if I wear a gas mask? Why am I being told that I can't get into my neighborhood? There were no easy answers amid the toxic stew of sulfur dioxide and lava ripping through the ground. Meanwhile, the authorities urged patience. Abide by the rules, he says. If someone goes down, we have to go in and risk our lives. We know it's a dangerous situation already. If you guys can just help us out, please, please do. He added that it's not only sulfur dioxide, which is life-threatening at high levels, but also the cracking and the fissures. We don't know when and where it's going to happen. Until it's stabilized, I highly suggest staying out of the area. There's a sense that it's Mother Nature. The lava flow is unpredictable, and it's hard to determine which direction it will go. It starts and stops on a whim. That's the uncertainty that residents are faced with. So nothing more frustrating than to hear from the officials that you cannot go back to your home, and really it sounds like they don't know when, because there's still questions. Is it going to go on for weeks? Is this going to go on for months? And here are the two earthquakes that happened on Friday that kicked everything off, really, after the 5.4 and the 6.9. Link will be in the description. And we'll go ahead and check out some weather real quick, as I was taking a look at this earlier. And, you know, as far as the GFS, from what we looked at last night, not much has changed, but I zoomed out on this perspective right here because first I want to show you guys that what we were looking at yesterday on the 18th is still kind of holding up. It's not as widespread as originally it's shown, but still we see now, if anything, I think we see more heavier spots of rain now in the further back we go to the west now. And I'll show the whole United States here in just a second, but here's where we were talking about with all that moisture. Still a good portion of the United States is going to be covered with rain showers that day and moving forward. But notice the storm we were talking about last night that we were thinking that could turn into a hurricane by the time it gets to the Gulf waters. A couple things need to happen. A, the waters need to warm up tremendously. I don't know if the water temp is quite up to par yet for these kind of storms. But however, this one's still approaching the Gulf, but now the GFS is showing it just hovering. So it is staying stationary, and it reminds me a lot like the Harvey situation, because if we look here on the 19th is where it kind of sits in place, and the 20th, the 21st, the 22nd, the 23rd, and the 24th, it stays over that region. Now meanwhile, it spits out another storm from it. If you look here on the 22nd, right here where my cursor is, watch that region. And right in this region here, just south of Florida, a low-pressure system has spawned from that particular region there, just kind of rotating and hovering in the same spot for days. So a little concern here in the tropics, definitely, in the Gulf waters here. Not too early for a hurricane. This would be the 24th of May. We're technically 7 or 8 days away from the official beginning of the hurricane season, but I just wanted to point that out. There's been a little bit new development with that. But as far as our precipitation goes, we are expecting quite a bit to start flaring up here in the next coming days. I'll go ahead and put this into motion. Mari, how's the chat tonight? How's everybody doing in the chat?
Rob's getting everyone pumped up in the chat to give us thumbs up. He's really doing good, Jake. I mean, he's amazing.
Well, Rob is the man.
I got another thing. Michael Holidays, second time in a row, super chat donation. Thank you, Michael. That's awesome of you.
Michael, that's very, very appreciative. And of course, you know, I think Mari and I, we both know what it takes to get this information out to you guys. And there's days where we have to dig really deep. And it's kind of the reason why, you know, we've talked to some of our people in the Discord chat and also the Patreon members. When they get to a certain, I think it's $5 or $7 of that level, they get to add an article to the show. And, you know, a lot of it is because
Starman just donated.
All right, guys, knock it off. Thanks again to the Starman.
I feel so loved.
But
we love Starman, though. I mean, it doesn't get any better than Starman.
No, it doesn't. But what I was saying, though, what I like about this idea of allowing people to submit articles to shows for us, if you're on that level of Patreon, it's because it's about sharing the information. And I had someone today, and I'm not going to mention his name. He knows who he is, and he'd rather stay anonymous, which I totally respect that. But I mentioned the cosmic rays paper yesterday in our broadcast, and I didn't have, at the moment, I didn't have the funds to actually download the full paper. And today I was sent in a PDF of the paper. This guy basically says, I don't want any recognition. I just want the information to be shared. You know, he believes that this type of research should be available to everyone at no cost. And I just want to, that's the kind of, I mean, I appreciate the cash donations as well, but I mean, the knowledge donation to me is just as big as some of the anything else, really.
Well, I think the reason why people wanted to donate, I was talking about the project I have with my dad's house and what a nightmare it's been. So I'm humbled for your support, truly.
And we do appreciate that, guys. But as I was trying to get back on topic here real quick, and we'll wrap this up. So, guys, we do, I don't know what to say.
I don't know. Thank you.
We really appreciate this. But anyway, looking at the map once again, like I said last night, we've got a lot of moisture we're going to start dealing with here coming up in the next several days. Probably by the 11th, we'll start things really ramping up in the United States, Midwest, Ohio Valley, Northeast. Don't worry, the South will get in on the action too. But we'll really see a really concern of issues probably right around the 18th and the 19th of May and forward. And we'll definitely be keeping our eyes on that storm that we see in the tropics right now too as well. Guys, I'm going to have to wrap this up because I'm a little bit thrown out of loss of words right now. And I appreciate the support from this community, from the top to the bottom, everybody that is involved, especially ones that just comment. Sometimes there's a useful link that you provide us, and sometimes there's some great criticism too for the channel. We really do appreciate our supporters, the people that take their time out of their day to come to our channel to get their information. And you know, the reason why I like the idea of submitting links, because it's really sometimes it's hard to find articles about what's really going on around here. A good example, Severe Weather EU on Facebook. They share tons of these videos of these floods that are happening that are unbelievable, but yet it's really difficult to find the actual statistics to that storm other than the tweet that we saw from the internet. So I think it's great that our subscribers are getting involved and sharing information from all over the world. And the more we know here at the Grand Solar Minimum channel, the more everybody else is going to get to know as well. So with that being said, Mari, did you want to close out with anything before we head out tonight?
I just love all you guys. I really do. I mean, totally humbled right now. I have no words. I'm sorry. I wish I did.
We appreciate your support as always, guys. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll talk soon. Oh, tomorrow, actually. Tomorrow will be probably between 12 and 2 o'clock. I haven't set the time yet, but I have obligations in the evening. But I will do a live show tomorrow between the hours of 12 p.m. Eastern Time and 2 p.m. somewhere. I'll make sure I set an event time for everyone tomorrow morning. All right, guys, take care, and we'll talk soon.